Welcome to the Enlightened Humanity Circle Spiritual Rave, where we are interviewing experts to help you learn how to tap into more of your own innate wisdom and knowing. My name is Bonnie Sachs, and I'm here with Lily Winsaft.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. So excited to be here.
Lily and I together created the Eighth Chakra Company, which was designed with the express purpose of teaching people how to access their own information and master what it means to be human. Today, we are really excited to have Dr. Katie Henry here, who is a physical therapist, transformational coach, and we like to call her the Joy Whisperer. Welcome, Katie.
Hi, Bonnie and Lily. Thank you so much for having me. I am very excited to be a part of this.
Well, we are thrilled to have you. Anybody who has the title of the Joy Whisperer is, we're going to have a good time, right?
That's the hope. That is the hope.
That is the hope. So let's just jump right in with getting some of the tidbits and juicy information about how you got to be where you are now and how you got to be called the Joy Whisperer.
Yeah, so I think a huge piece of the joy is really who I am. It's who I've always been my whole life, from a child to, my teenage years to adult years. And I've had an interesting path to end up doing what I'm doing, but I've always had, been a person who cares deeply for others and who has this positive outlook on life. And I see things through this lens of joy, I believe. And so I started off my professional career as a pediatric physical therapist and working with children because I think that children are deep down, it's all our inner child and all of that. And I think that we can see the purity and the beauty of who we really are in children. And so I've always, been drawn to working with kids. I'm the oldest of all of my siblings and cousins and family members. And I've always taken on this motherly role. So that just seemed like a natural fit. Wanted to help people. I wanted to do something in the healthcare field and realm. That's just how my brain worked. So that's the path I went, and I loved it. I worked at the top rehab hospital in the US, and I was doing fantastic things. Boom, boom, boom. It was achieving everything off of the list. I had not only a great job and career, but great family, great relationships, great connections with people. And, I was healthy and happy and all of these things, or so it seemed on the outside. Internally, it felt like there was something off and something missing. And it was kind of this whole circumstance of a lot of different events, relationships ending, and then my health just started dwindling in very odd ways. I started catching all these strange diseases and conditions that my patients had. I would be teaching someone how to walk and they'd have a full cast on, and then I got in a bike accident and had to wear a brace on my leg, and I collapsed at work. All these crazy things started happening, and I was like, okay, what's going on here? And long story short is what I realized is that I wasn't actually tuning into me and taking care of me and myself. And I was so worried about others, not only in my work, but in every single relationship, in my friends, my family, the guy I was dating at the time, and every single thing. It was just give to everybody else and be super positive for everyone else and bring the joy for everyone else, but not for me. And so, I realized that who I was this positive, upbeat, and high energy person, but I wasn't actually living in my truth. And I also had veered off of my own spiritual practice and my own connection to me. I grew up Catholic and in a very religious family, and then I started to question all that, dove into yoga and meditation. I've been a teacher for 8 years now, found it when I was in my doctorate program, all this stuff. Long story short is that as I found all of these different paths, and I've gotten a million degrees and certifications and education because I love to learn, but all of it was really about coming back to me and my truth and what brought me joy and what lit me up and what made me this positive, high energy person that people just wanted to be around because that's who I was. And so I lost that piece of myself. And as I found that more, what I found is that I shifted my career in the work that I was doing, because what I really realized is this being of joy and light and energy is my true path, and also the work that lights me up. So the coaching that I do now with people for life and business and all, really, it's just all about finding your joy, because that was the thing that healed me the most, but also lit me up and has made every single thing in my life since I've made that transition a few years ago. And the more I get aligned to that and more into the energy of what joy is for me, but also for everybody else, the more I'm lit up, the more I experience joy, the more I experience all these things I desire. And so that's what I love to teach about. That's what I love to talk about. But I think it's also kind of circling back to my work with kids is it's our natural state. It's where we came from. So it's not about changing who we are. It's about returning to this joy that we have within us, that we've all experienced at some point in our life that sometimes we forget about. And so that's really like who I am as a person, but also what I'm about and why I do what I do now.
That is absolutely the best example of something really manifesting in your life very clearly for you to be able to see that there was something for you to get out of this. I love that piece that you were seeing yourself in your patients almost very literally.
Oh, so much. And I think what I've also realized, and this is something I now teach, is just how, I'm very much like an empath and super sensitive and a highly sensitive person, but I was feeling so much that I was actually not feeling so much for everyone else. I wasn't like feeling and connecting for myself. And so I didn't know how to protect my energy or any of that kind of stuff, which is something that's vital for me now and something I love to teach on and talk about, because I think sometimes when you care so deeply, you don't realize how much that can actually affect you, and not always in a positive way. So it was interesting. And I have to be honest, like I didn't even notice that until the past few years. Looking back, I said, oh my gosh, no wonder this happened and this happened and this happened, because I was so connected to the people I was working with. But I was connected kind of in a slightly, I wouldn't say detrimental way, because it didn't hurt me a lesson, but in a way that maybe didn't allow me to serve to the ability that I actually could.
Wow, that's so beautiful to be able to connect with that and then realize it and then be able to turn things around so that you can connect with that. I have to tell you, Katie, that I've been a lover of the study of joy for a really, really long time. And one day I'll show you my journal, because I really did a lot of work around that. But one of the things that I would love for you to share is in your personal journey is what is a practice that you did personally that to help you connect with joy that brought you to this journey now as the way that you're working with your clients?
Absolutely. So I think this is something I do every day, and it's honestly something I teach, and it's actually a very simple thing to do that I think a lot of us forget about. So, and something that a lot of people do is, so I was very much in my head, overthinking, overanalyzing, retelling these stories over and over again. And the funny thing is that my whole career is about like the human body and getting and understanding the body. And I forgot that really we know we have all the answers within us. And so I would say the biggest thing that got me into joy was getting out of my head and into my body and connecting to feelings, and feelings in a way that it's something that you can't always describe, you can't put words into, but you can feel it in some way. So people feel things in different ways. So people can see, it can be a visual thing, it can be an auditory thing, it can be like a sensation in your body. And so that was something I struggled with is, people would be like, close your eyes and visualize. And I'm like, I can't do that, but I can feel and I can connect. And I have like a very kinesthetic form of learning. And so the biggest way for me to tap into joy, but I think for everybody, is to really just connect to your body and listen to how things show up in your body and things that don't always make sense, but feel right. So it can be seeing things, it can be hearing things, it can be like this jolt in your stomach or in your heart, or you can just, I always tell people I have like magic hands, like I can feel things in my hands, and it's energy, and it's all energy showing up and being manifested in our physical being, but also when we connect to our feelings and we feel, I believe that that's how we can connect to our soul and our deeper purpose, and then something higher than us. So it's really about getting out of this this like hamster wheel in our head and connecting to our body and trusting that whatever that means for us, and it may be something different for me and as for you, Bonnie, and you, Lily, and for everyone listening. And it doesn't matter how it looks, but it's how it feels. And you'll know when you can connect to a feeling, you'll know. It's really about connecting to that feeling. And then another thing that I fully believe, and I've really brought into my life and what I teach people how to do is, what does joy mean for you? What does joy feel like for you? So for me, it feels like expansion. It feels like, this weight is lifted off of my chest. It feels like electricity through my body. And it's just like so blissful and real and pure. And so what I do is I do things that make me feel that way more often so I can get into the energy of joy. So if you can identify certain things that bring you this feeling of, it's like joy on the energetic vibrational scale, if you look at like the Abraham vortex, it's like right below enlightenment. It is up there. So it's this feeling that you just can't describe it. You can feel it. So it's really about getting into that energy and doing that more often. And so I'm a firm believer in doing what works for you. And I never want to tell someone, well, you should do this, this, and this to feel joy. It's this process, and then it's interpreting it for you. So it's about two things, I would say. It's about getting out of your head and into your body and really feeling it, and then identifying what joy means for you, what joy feels like for you, and then getting into that feeling and that energetic state more often. And I know that's not the easiest thing to do, but as you do it, the more frequently and the more often you do it, you can shift into that energy very quickly.
So now, is that shifting into the joy? I love that you just took us right into how you access your own information. When we shift into joy, if we were talking to you, how would you tell us to do that? Are there some ways that you would help us access that? Because there are some of us who really struggle with what is joy and how does that feel? And, am I feeling too much of it? Am I feeling too little of it? That kind of thing. How would you talk about that?
Absolutely. So it kind of ties into what I was just describing. So about getting out of your head and into your body. So I have people usually physically move, like, and you look kind of crazy, but like shake and move your body fast, like movements that are just rapid and like kind of like this. I'm not even kidding. This is what people do. If in a workshop, I'm like, run in place as fast as you can. And you do it for a few seconds. And not only does it get you to stop thinking and move, but it's actually like an energetic shakeup, and it just clears all of your chakras. It clears your energy. It clears your system. And then you put your hands on your heart and you feel your heartbeat and you connect to that. Because number one, as you move quickly, your heart is going to, your heartbeat's going to increase and elevate. But you put your hands on your heart and you just close your eyes and you take a few deep breaths and you just feel your heartbeat, and you feel this connection to your heart and this connection to not only your like a chakra electromagnetically, but also just you can feel your body. And then as you do that, I usually have people do this, close your eyes and breathe. And then I guide you through a feeling of, okay, you may not be able to feel this way right now, but there has been a time in your life when you have felt pure joy, pure bliss. And while your hands are on your heart and you're breathing and you're not thinking so much, is to connect to that feeling. And I walk people through all the different senses. So I want you to see what that feeling feels like. I want you to hear where you are. So you're kind of going back in time, or you're just picturing something that brings you this state of joy, and then you're in that experience. So you hear it, you see, like, where are you, who are you with, what are the sounds, is it day, is it night, and then not only all of those things, but then what does your body feel like? Do you feel light? Do you feel open? Do you feel free? Do you feel heavy? What does that feel like? And keeping your hands on your heart and going through all of those different sensory and somatosensory experiences, you can connect to a state, an energetic state, while you're actually like connecting to your body. So it allows you to feel something that you may not have experienced in years. And I mean, I say this from my own personal experience, that I was pretty numb for years and pretending like everything was fine and good. And in reality, I was very disconnected from it. And I've had people that have had a lot of trauma, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain that have done this. And, you know, they just start bawling, crying, or they're laughing or whatever. And it's just, you don't judge whatever feelings come up. You just feel them. And you start to have the ability to connect to a feeling that honestly all of us desire. Like, who doesn't want to feel joy? Who doesn't want to feel good? Who doesn't want to feel high vibe and all these different energy states? And sometimes we just don't allow ourselves to go there because either we don't feel worthy of it, we don't feel like this is something we can receive, or maybe it's something we haven't received in so long that we've completely forgotten what it feels like. So allowing yourself to physically feel it and then take it on an energetic level, a spiritual level, and a sensory level to draw it in. And then I lead people out of that. But what I like to say is when you're having a hard time, like experiencing joy or getting into these higher energetic states, is move quickly and then just put your hands on your heart and take a few deep breaths, and you'll be able to get back into that feeling. So even when you're really stressed out or overwhelmed, is really just putting your hands, and you have to kind of push, but you want to be able to feel that heartbeat, because it's our strongest energy and it's our strongest force. And I think that can help bring us to joy, bliss, enlightenment, all these higher energetic states really all want to get to.
That's awesome. That's amazing information. One thing you're reminding me of is a book I once read by Candace Pert on the molecules of emotions. And as a doctor of physical therapy, I would love to know maybe what your opinion is about how does the energy or the frequency or kind of like the molecular structure of joy, how does that work with our other cellular type experiences, you know, at the very physical level, cellular level? How does all that work, and how does the trauma that we hold in our tissue, so to speak, how does that interact with it? And can you say a little bit about, I just think it's so fascinating that you have this, you know, this background in physical therapy and because you're a scientist.
Yes. Yes.
You work with energy, and so you kind of understand both worlds. I just would love to hear some more about that.
Absolutely. And I'm like, I love to talk. Sometimes the science stuff, people are like, what? But I love it. I mean, I'm like a neuroscientist at heart, and I love the brain, and that was all the work that I did. And so this is the reason why I have people put their hands on their heart, because everything in our body wants to be in a flow state. So our circulatory system flows, our nervous system is just a chain of electrical currents, like ping, 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 ping. Our lymphatic system to drain out all of our fluid and our waste and all of that kind of stuff. From a physiological level, our vascular system, all this stuff, everything in our body wants to flow and wants to move with ease. And our body is designed to thrive. Yet we put all these things in it, whether it is, you know, food or bad, energy toxins or whatever, or mostly what I think and realize is all of the thoughts that are usually pretty crazy or negative or throwing us out of our natural state and the state of flow that we actually desire. So when you get into joy or any higher energetic state, it's just returning yourself back to this natural flow that your body wants to experience. And it's not only your brain and your circulatory system and your heart and all that jazz, it's your digestive system. Like, it wants to flow easily, and anything to release any kind of waste wants to be easy. And we not only hold negative thoughts and emotions, or hold pain or injury. You know, there's so many different components to injury or to pain or to trauma that manifest in different ways. So as a physical therapist, you know, I would say my area of expertise is like the body and actual physical manifestations of these traumas and pain, but also the neurological standpoint. And I also have a background in psychology. So how all of this intertwines is really boils down to us putting our bodies out of alignment and out of this state of flow that it actually desires to be in. So when you shake up our molecules and our cells and bring them into this energy of joy, or these higher energy and these higher vibrations, it helps us on all the different levels, mentally, physically. Our body is like, oh, thank you, we just want to flow and be easy. But then spiritually too, it's just the ability to clear our energy systems, to clear our chakras, our minds, but also our connection to something higher than us. And we basically just get out of our own way, and we become more of this state of flow, and be able to be more real and true and connect to others in a more authentic way, but also something higher than us, and be kind of more of this, I view it as like trying to be just a clear channel. Things flow through us, things flow in us, things flow in and out of us. And that's just really us, and also gives us the ability to be more real and true and authentic. And we just have all this stuff that we hold on to that is just getting in the way of our truth, and also what our body, mind, and soul want to be in, which is just this beautiful flow and things being easy. And it's really what we want. Like, we don't want to have the struggle and the pain and the hurt and things to be hard. But we think that that's normal. I mean, I go through it all too. Honestly, like 2 days ago, I was freaking out and I had all this stuff going on. And I was like, wait a second. I get to choose. I get to choose how I respond to this. And I'm going to get out of this craziness. I'm going to get back into the flow and the joy that I actually want, because this is what I want. This is what we all want. So I think it's about getting out of our own way, and also knowing that we have the ability to control, and not control, but the ability to choose which direction we go. So why not get out of our own way and let ourselves be in this flow and joy and high energy that we really, truly just deeply want.
Yeah.
Absolutely fabulous. I love that piece about flow. And you remind me of some of my favorite yoga teachers that are talking about flow, and that is exactly what it's about. One of the things I was curious about from your website is you talk about igniting your intuition. And I really love the idea of that as it relates to people accessing their own information. Like, that's a great way of saying it a different way. So how do you help people ignite their own intuition?
So it actually genuinely ties into what we've been talking about. So it starts with getting into this feeling and energy. And so, it can start with just tapping into what joy feels like for you. But I also believe that when you get more into the feelings and ignite your intuition, you can listen to what you intuitively already know. And kind of like what I was just talking about with the body and the flow of everything is, your intuition is your inner knowing and your truth and your own wisdom. So when you stop thinking so much and you start to feel and connect to that feeling and connect to these energetic states that you desire to be in, it's just strengthening your own intuition and your own inner knowing. So the way that you ignite that is by feeling and connecting to the feelings and the sensations that are in your body, and however that feels for you. And beginning to trust and have faith that your intuition and, following your heart, trusting your gut, however you want to term it, that's just your truth. And that's just really who you are. It's so funny that we're talking about this, because earlier today I was writing in my journal, and this is something that I do. Actually, this is a beautiful exercise to ignite your intuition. Is every day I ask myself, what do I need to do right now? And I've actually changed the language to, what do I get to do right now? Like, what does my heart want? What do I deeply desire? And it was like, to write. And I'm like, okay, I'm writing right now. No, it was like, no, like, put your journal away and write. So I sat outside and it just like came out of me. It was like 4 pages long, and it was all about following your heart and connecting to your heart and trusting your heart and knowing that that is real and that is you and that's your intuition. So you can call it following your heart, you can call it trusting your gut or feeling your intuition, but it all comes back to, what do I want? How do I want to feel? How do I want to show up? And what's going to be real for me? And then just trusting that whatever the answer is, no matter how crazy it seems, because sometimes it feels crazy, but that's right. And that the more you do that, the more you're going to be on the path that you want to be on, it, that you choose to be on, or that you desire to be on. Because I believe that when we follow our intuition and our desires, that whatever goal you want or whatever dreams you want will happen, but it's about staying connected to your heart, your gut, your truth, your joy, and your intuition, and just trusting that that is exactly what you get to experience. And I say get to like very purposefully, because it's about reprogramming your brain to say, I get to choose, and that you have a choice. And it's not like things are happening to me or whatever, because I used to think that way. And then I would have all these other traumas and different things pile up, and I was like, wait, no, I get to choose how I respond to any situation. And I've seen people in the worst of the worst and all of this trauma and everything like ripped away from their life, and they still have so much joy and so much positivity. So it's about, they ask themselves like, well, what do I want? What do I choose? What do I intuitively know? Well, I know have this. And it's just this power of choice. And I just say, like, why not choose the joy? Choose to trust yourself, choose to trust and follow your intuition. And that's how you can access your truth and your higher purpose, and whatever you want to call it. I think sometimes you get too caught up in the language of it, but it's the feeling of it. So
Wow, that is so beautiful. I love the way that you talk, because your words do really, they just flow, and they're melodic almost. I want to dance in listening to you. And we're almost running out of time, and I hate to say that, but I do have a question that I would love for you to address, and this would be in the form of maybe a golden nugget. As I mentioned, I love working with joy and the whole energy of joy, but I think that a lot of times when people are not in their joy, and if they're on the opposite end, in that spectrum, where might be closer to anxiety and depression or sadness or grief, not where it's kind of like, oh, well, I'm not necessarily joyful, but I'm okay. That's not what I'm talking about. It's easier to move into that state of joy when you're already kind of sort of on your way there. But what about when those times when we are feeling an extreme level of depression or an extreme level of darkness? What golden nugget can you give to us, Katie, that will help us to get out of that place and move into that joy when it just seems to be so challenging?
So I think the first thing to do is just honor that that's how you're feeling, because it's never going to be perfect all the time. I was saying, like, honestly, 2 days ago, that was me, and being like, oh, what am I doing? I'm crazy. I feel horrible. Like, I felt like I was psycho, and I was super anxious, and all of these things were coming up. And then I just paused and I said, okay, I'm allowed to feel this way. I'm human. That is normal. And if that is your reality right now, and that's all you're thinking about, is to acknowledge that that's the state you're in right now, but also acknowledge that you can choose to shift it. So you acknowledge where you're at. You say, I get to choose to be and show up in a different way. And then I have people write, I call it your joyful activities. And I just say, write out anything that makes you feel better, anything that lights you up. And it can be the stupidest things, from like this crazy YouTube video to a song, to a book, to a person, to a photo, whatever it is. Write down at least 10 things that light you up. And then when you're feeling that sadness, that darkness, that depression, and you acknowledge that, and you say, like, wait, I can choose to be in a different state. And I may not stay there, but even for a brief second, I can get out of the darkness and into the light, basically, is to do one of those things on your little joyful activities, and it can shift you really quickly. Or simply do what I was saying earlier of just moving frantically. Movement is a great way to kind of clear your energy out, but to say, wait, I get to choose. I get to do something that brings me joy, even if it's for just a second. And what you're doing is you're raising yourself from here to here, to here, to here, to here. And I tell people that every single day, what can I do today that will bring me joy? And it can be a small little nugget. And even when you're feeling awful, the more you do that, the more you raise your vibration, and the more, it's the whole law of attraction, everything. But you start to see more joy in your life. You start to notice the small little things, and it can be simple as a bird chirping or the sun shining, whatever. Is start to focus on these smaller things that can bring you joy and raise your energy. And over time, it's about consistently doing it, though. Seriously, every single day, asking yourself and knowing that it can be something you change in 30 seconds. and that you raise your energy and you get out of this darkness and this pain and this hurt, and you bring yourself higher, more towards joy. And then it's just the more often you do it, the quicker you can shift. And then you're more in this state of, honestly, people are like, I don't know what it is about you, but you're just joyful and you have this thing. And I'm like, I fully, deeply believe that my only job truly is to embody this message that I'm trying to share. So it's to embody this state of joy and to tell people that you fully can choose this. So it's really about acknowledging where you're at, choosing that you get to shift, doing something that brings you joy, and consistently asking yourself, what can I do today that will bring me joy? And that's how you can shift. And it takes a little bit of work, but you'll get there. And I used to say, like, keep at it, because you'll look back in even a few weeks, months, and then for sure years, and be like, wow, look at how much has shifted. And you can do it all in like 30 seconds a day. It doesn't have to be something drastic, but it's small, consistent shifts that over time make a radical transformation in your life.
I love that. Small shifts making a radical transformation. I absolutely love that. Oh, wow, Dr. Katie, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so sorry that we've run out of time. Bonnie and I could probably talk to you for hours and hours. Thank you for joining us today.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
I really want to encourage all of you to check out Dr. Katie's website and look at the workshops and the classes and all the one-on-one work that she does. She also has fabulous book recommendations on there, the exercises. And I do recommend that we all go out today and make that list of at least 10 things that really connect us with joy, and tap into that, because all you do need is that little thing, that little simple thing to cause major transformation. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today with the Enlightened Humanities Circle Spiritual Ray. We are so excited, Bonnie and I, to be sharing all these amazingly and talented expert speakers from around the world. Please join us for our next episode. And until then, thank you.